Did this YouTuber capture skinwalkers in a screaming match? While wandering through Gila National Forest, mysterious wailing echoed all around him. As the cameraman stood waiting, he heard the screams again. They were so terrifying, they spun him around. And again. But where is it coming from? And to whom does this wailing belong? Skinwalkers or something else entirely? I think I'm going to stay far away from that forest.
Christian Garcia and a couple of his friends are riding around on a motorcycle late at night through the streets of Mexico and are enjoying their night when suddenly they come across something absolutely terrifying and startling on the road. Right here. This seems to just be a really sort of like isolated road in the middle of nowhere. It's clearly nighttime, and this individual is just sitting out here, staring off into the distance. I wish they would have asked if they needed help. Instead, just sort of take off. But I guess they do decide they should turn around, which is the right thing to do, so respect to these guys.
Hola, señora. ¿Qué dice? ¿Quién es? ¿Qué le pasa?
¿Cómo se llama?
¿Cómo se llama? Está en medio de la nada, ¿no? ¿Le pasa algo?
If anybody who speaks Spanish could please translate what was said in this conversation, but I assume they were asking if they were all right, to which they get no response from the stranger, and I think eventually just decide, yes, to just take off.
¿Le pasa algo?
Even when Christian and his friends drive back to where the mysterious stranger is sitting down on the side of the road, it doesn't really seem as though they are trying to talk to her too much, and I guess it makes sense because she is a complete stranger, and you never know exactly what a stranger is capable of. I just hope this person is okay and isn't suffering from any problems, but if they are, I hope they will be okay in due time.
Maxim enters another terrifying witch's house in this paranormal investigation. As soon as he walks in, the demon lets him know he is there. But it's when he lights up these demon dolls with ritualistic symbols drawn on them that he faces the real terror. While these may not be voodoo dolls, it certainly seems that Maxim just lit up the devil. The awful sound coming from the spirit box seems to be coming straight from the fiery depths below. You'd think Satan would be used to a bit of fire. As I look at this image, I can't help but feel a sense of unease. The three friends, all dressed in concert gear, look like they're having the time of their lives, posing for a selfie in front of a cheering crowd, but upon closer inspection, something sinister lurks in the background. There appears to be a scary face hidden among the concert goers behind them. The face is strange and spooky, with features that seem twisted and contorted. It's hard not to notice the contrast between the happiness of the friends and the ominous presence behind them. One might wonder if this is just a trick of the mind, an example of pareidolia, where the mind sees familiar patterns and random stimuli, but as I look closer, the face seems too distinct and detailed to be the mere trick of the mind. It's hard not to wonder, is this just a coincidence, or is there something much more sinister at play? Whatever the case may be, this image leaves me feeling uneasy and on edge. It's a chilling reminder that even in the midst of happy moments, the unknown can be lurking in the background. This Redditor's friend captured something mysterious on her Ring camera. The footage shows a chair sitting outside on the porch. One moment it is empty, the next a figure seems to be sitting there.
Okay, so now I'm going to slow it down for you guys. You see that? I don't know what the that is in my chair. The stool moves back and forth just once.
Some in the comments say the entire frame is jumping, which suggests a time lapse in the video.
Okay, so now I'm going to slow it down for you guys. You see that? I don't know what the that is in my chair. The stool moves back and forth just once.
Without the full video, they think a pet or a wild animal may have perched in the chair, appearing like a person, but it doesn't look like any species of animal I've ever seen. What do you think is going on here? Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Project Bad 720, this Redditor wrote, "We moved out of our last house because the activity was getting out of hand. Now it's acting up again." The Redditor also included that they're in West Texas. Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about. There was certainly some discussion about this video in the comments. Creepy Girl Tia wrote, "Sounds like you have brought something that a spirit is attached to, that you brought to your new place, or the spirit is attached to you." And Fiery Witchburn 333 has a similar sentiment saying, "The houses aren't haunted, you are, seek help." And the uploader responded saying, "I actually believe I am being followed, so this makes sense. Do you think that's what's going on here? Let me know in the comments." Giant moving vat is supposed to pour molten steel into a receiving chamber where it can be cooled and molded. This receiving must already be full though, because the red hot liquid quickly boils over and the intense heat causes a huge chain reaction. Liquid steel now blankets the floor as the vat continues to do its automated job, sending more of the lava-like substance spraying everywhere. At 5 minutes and 40 seconds, you can see two scared factory workers emerge from their hiding spot around the corner, where they must have been the entire time. They are extremely lucky to be alive. One whiff of the toxic steam would be enough to singe their lungs. A YouTube channel called Mysterious Oklahoma received this video from a subscriber who claims to have kept seeing something out of the corner of their eye in one spot of their house, so they set up a camera to record. What they capture is a fast-moving creature they refer to only as the Thing, which apparently moves so fast the camera has trouble keeping up. When you pause on it, you can see a very small figure that looks to be slightly lower resolution than the rest of the video, so it might not be real. This video starts out as a normal shot of what looks like a restaurant in another country. The footage is pretty high quality. Nothing looks out of the ordinary, right? Well, pay close attention to the small dog as it passes through the frame. You'll probably see something walking closely behind. If you didn't see it, watch the footage again in slow motion. You'll see the dog walk out from behind the motorcycle. It's just sniffing around, minding its own business, when suddenly a transparent apparition comes stomping out from behind. Okay, what the heck is that? It looks like a demon or a reptile from another dimension walking on 2 legs. It's following the dog closely, almost like it wants the dog for its next meal. Nobody else seems to have seen the creature, but its electromagnetic frequencies appear to have been captured on tape. Skeptics are quick to say that this is just the dog's reflection, but if that were true, then shouldn't the reflection look similar to the original animal? This creature, on the other hand, has a long tail, 2 legs, and what almost appears to be T-Rex arms. I guess it kind of looks like the dog, but at the same time, doesn't there also look like there's some major differences to you? One creepy video shows us nature can be just as cruel underwater as it is above ground. A YouTuber named Trendy Outdoorsman is exploring the ice with his brother when they look down and find a really bizarre sight. A frozen bass is somehow sticking half out of the pond. They post a picture online, and after getting a huge response, the two return to the spot to make a video. When they carve it out, their discovery gets even weirder. The fish is trapped in the jaws of a large pike. Trendy Outdoorsman thinks the pike couldn't eat the bass and floated to the top. From there, it must have floated through an old ice fishing hole, which then resealed. I have no alternative explanation, so I agree with this theory, but I was wondering if there were any other theories as to what could have caused this freaky frozen fish incident to occur. This video was taken at a famous car race in France called the Citroën Rally. A police officer is keeping the peace when he makes the mistake of not looking both ways before crossing the road. His carelessness nearly gets him annihilated when one of the contestants comes rushing around the bend. The officer puts his arms out at the last second, but this would have done absolutely nothing to save him. That papery smacking sound you hear is the back of his vest actually making contact with the car. Amazingly, the police officer brushes off the event like it's no big deal, and the crowd barely has a reaction either. Maybe they've grown accustomed to close calls. A YouTube channel called Dark Haunts Videos travels to the famous haunted train tracks in San Antonio, Texas, where a school bus full of children were said to have lost their lives. The road looks like it's on a small hill here, according to him. Do you agree?
Okay. But it looks like it's uphill. Cars in neutral and off. We are slowly moving.
If the local legend is true, ghost children are pushing them up a road and straight past the very same tracks that they themselves were not able to cross over alive. Somebody needs to measure this road to see if they are really being pushed uphill. If they are, then this is amazing. It is really creepy though how the car stops all by itself within seconds of going over the tracks. A YouTuber named Chris Javier is making a random vlog around his neighborhood late at night when he gets the weird feeling that he's not alone. Moments later, the streetlight he's standing by goes off and on by itself, which he says it has never done before. He thinks it might just be his imagination, so he decides to further test the situation by directly communicating with whatever is controlling the light, which seems to respond more than once. Here's the first time.
What the heck is going on?
And then the streetlight seems to taunt him even as he walks away. Was this a coincidence, or is there no possible way?
Now it's not even turning off. As soon as I just said something about it, it turns off.
A short while later, Chris sees a disheveled figure walk out from the back alley where he was just standing. They seem totally out of it and speak aggressively to an imaginary person in front of them. At this point, Chris decides to get out of there because it's early in the morning and no one else is around. But to his surprise, the stranger soon follows. The person then abruptly returns to the back alley from where they came and begins to shudder under the same streetlight that was acting weird earlier. They seem drawn to this area and they start swinging their arms wildly in a circle, totally forgetting about Chris as he films the scene for a while longer and then gets away, between the lights seemingly responding to Chris's voice and a man randomly appearing from an empty back alley moments later. There just seems to be too many coincidences in this video to deny the paranormal could have been at work that night. Originally published by YouTuber Bug Boho and analyzed by the channel Unexplainable, this video is trending in the international YouTube community. While searching a forest cemetery, these paranormal explorers encountered a horrifying sight, a witchy woman feasting on the passed away. An old gray-haired woman covered in streaks of red is standing over a figure lying prone on the floor. Below the woman, the person's face and body are covered, but the person is clearly unconscious.
Kenapa tadi kamu menyerang saya? Hah? Tadi saya hanya ingin bertanya kemana perempuan itu kamu sembunyikan dan ternyata di sini ya.
Although we didn't really catch the witch in action,
Kamu ingin mengelabui saya tadi ya? Lawan saya.
whatever she's done to the person seems sinister. A female member of the paranormal crew appears to be using her powers to counteract this witchcraft. Will she succeed? I sure hope so. A YouTube channel called Exploring with Felicity goes in search of a spirit called the White Lady of Lancashire, who is said to be looking for her lost child. Felicity stands over her memorial, or rather her memorial stands over her, and she says the words which, according to legend, are meant to make the statue's eyes open.
I stolen your baby.
This push from behind is probably real because you can hear someone laying hands on her before she takes a step forward. Felicity feels dizzy and immediately regrets ever provoking the supernatural. The weather worsens and the wind picks up this wail, which sounds like a banshee more than an animal. Felicity heads down the trail with haste and finds out for herself that the legends are all real after all. A shadowy form glides across the trail and then disappears. It's too far away to see for certain whether this was a normal person or the lady herself, so we may never know for sure. A YouTuber named Frosty Flakes is searching for elk in the woods of Imnaha, Oregon, when his elk whistle attracts a pack of hungry wolves. Soon they find themselves surrounded and have to step carefully. They are way outnumbered and the wolves sound very close by, ferocious and closing in fast.
Wolves are exactly on opposite sides of us.
Every time they stop to gain a sense of direction, they can hear the wolves combing through the area where they just were. And I think this is where the pack decides not to pursue any further and lets them off with a warning howl. They sound close enough to charge the entire time, yet hidden so well in their surroundings that you would never know where to even look until it was already too late. A YouTube channel called Exploring Mysterious India is at an abandoned house that was once occupied by 5 families. Since then, it's rumored to become so dangerously haunted that not even squatters will take their chances. The group worries about snakes in the leaves and thorny forest vines, but the real danger is already watching them from afar. While searching for an entrance, they find this rope tied in a perfect knot next to a water well that looks deep enough to easily hide a body. They find this discarded cross on the floor. Perhaps it was flung from the hands of someone who tried to cleanse this place long ago. A smeared red handprint on the wall gives the impression that no one stays here for long. Sometimes you don't have to catch a spirit on video to convince me that a location is haunted. Between the rope, the well, the handprint, and the cross, I think I have enough evidence to make up my mind on this one. This footage was taken in 2011. A man is wandering the woods in Pennsylvania when his flashlight chances upon one of the most popular humanoids of all time. The Sasquatch is devoid of pigment and doesn't put up much of a fight, instead taking off as soon as the flashlight beam hits its face. Notice not only how fast it runs, but also how silently it moves. Somehow it was able to watch the cameraman from less than 10 feet away and get away with hardly any noise. Some people like their onion rings extra crispy, but not when the added crunch is because of this.
And I got some nice roaches in my onion rings here.
They are so small that they kind of almost blend in until you see the tiny shriveled up legs. But I mean, if you were eating this meal straight out of the bag and concentrating on the road, you might not even notice them at all. Again, this is one of those videos that I regret coming across because I realized how easily it could have happened to anyone watching. As awful as it sounds, I doubt this customer was the only person who got served a big batch of fried bugs that day. This worrisome video I'm about to show you was posted on March 18th of 2017 by a person who had been teetering on the edge of self-destruction for years.
Things are much worse this time. Something seems to be after me. I don't know what else to say. Except goodbye.
You'll never guess what he does next, but first let me tell you what he has been through. His psychological torment would begin in early 2015, approximately 2 years before his final goodbye. That was when someone began knocking at his door almost every night for days. He lives all alone and is a very private person, so introverted in fact that we never learn his name. For him to have a visitor is not normal, let alone in the middle of the night. The knocks were annoying at first, but he figured it would stop if he ignored it. But when that didn't work, he decided to start documenting everything early on, in case he needed to take it to the police or something later. He also decided to confront it and defend himself if need be. This incident, taken on February 12, 2015, starts with 2 knocks that are so soft, it would be easy to think you're imagining them. But after 3 weeks of harassment, he is frazzled and hears every noise, so he springs to action ready to meet force with force, but there's just one problem. Nothing is ever there to confront. Listen closely to this part, because I hear chatter after he locks up. He installs a second camera outside the very next night on February 13th, 2015, Friday the 13th to be exact. Sure enough, it starts again. He opens the door and no one's there. It's not 2 different videos put together either, because his movements in both videos sync perfectly, like at 1 minute and 15 seconds when he smooths his hair. Even if he practiced this routine, it still wouldn't be this dead on. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that this happens at 3 a.m. every night. Anyone would want to move and he absolutely did, but his money situation meant he couldn't either continue to endure this or go homeless in the middle of the winter. Eventually, he decides to go outside before 3 a.m. and see if he can catch whatever or whoever is doing this on video. He doesn't see them, but he does find footprints leading away from his house into the woods. The footprint is separated in 2 halves, more like a hoof print than a foot, yet 2 legs instead of 4. Some people have said this could be a demon or even a cryptid. I don't know about all of that, but I know that he really did go out at 3 a.m. and I know this because I hear a train throughout the video. Oddly enough, this late night train is heard in all of his videos, and I think could be closely related. Something bad must have happened on the nearby tracks. By August 28th, whatever had left those footprints was looking for other ways inside both day and night. No longer was it confined to 3 a.m. Tell me if this is an animal or something way worse. I didn't hear any claws tapping. This was the sound of somebody fast. A raccoon or a possum would be doing this at nighttime. This was something big in the middle of the day, like a restless spirit. So after years of experiencing this and other similar encounters, perhaps you'll better understand why, after saying goodbye in March of 2017, he simply decided to open up the door and stop.
Goodbye.
Whatever that was, it sounded far from being a person. Over 2 years later, this mysterious final video was uploaded on January 1st, 2019. Those sound like church bells. Maybe this is a clip taken from a funeral. Could it be his? And whoever typed these replies doesn't act like him at all. During a mid-morning flight from Canada over the Appalachian Mountains in October of 2010, this passenger captured something mysterious from the air. Watch carefully. Can you see the reflections of light in the clouds? There also appears to be a disc-like shape that emerges from the clouds at the lower half of the screen. Watch again closely. Is this a genuine, unidentified flying object caught on camera? If not, what do you think this could possibly be? Luan Mendez is a YouTuber who is unafraid to put his life on the line in the name of a paranormal investigation, and as this video goes to show, ready to explore the scariest local legends he can find. One such legend revolves around a dismal force known only as La Señora Fantasma, or the Ghost Lady. The Ghost Lady is said to still roam the home she passed away in years ago. In life, she earned a reputation as a taker of lives and lived a wicked existence full of hatred until the very end. Her spirit is said to still reflect in the bathroom mirror. If you go in there and call upon her for an unholy visit, which is tonight's goal, they start by rather rudely calling her name outside of the property, hoping to get her to come through the window. She doesn't appear, so they step inside. The place has been stripped bare, but overall it looks somewhat inhabitable, at least as far as abandoned places go. But it's more about the way it feels than its aesthetics. Something about the small and cramped space that feels ill-fitting and all wrong, like nothing good has ever happened here, and only unimaginable horrors can befall anyone foolish enough to stay inside. They creep their way to the room where her legendary mirror hangs unblemished amidst the clutter. Luan stands alone while his friends keep watch. His tone is expectant and again, not very polite as he addresses the infamous Ghost Lady in more of a challenge than a request.
Aparece aqui, senhora. Vamos ver. Nada.
They are all about to leave, but they decide to try to turn on the shower just to see what happens. To their surprise, clean water drips out of a rusty pipe that shouldn't work and doesn't even have a shower head. This was probably where she hung what was left of the lives she took, upside down and filleted open to drain in the shower. Seeing this broken shower work again shortly after doubling her powers makes them rethink their situation and wonder if they should have taken a nicer tone. But that doesn't matter because it's too late now. They are walking towards the exit and everything seems much more negative and dreadful than the first time around, more of a feeling than anything else, as if a great evil has awoken and is spreading across the otherwise plain walls. And that's when she appears, not when Luan tells her to, nor in the mirror where she's supposed to be according to legend, but maybe that's the entire point. Her house, her rules. They hole up in the room for a while and discuss what to do, but the situation takes care of itself by the time they open the door. The lady seems to have proven her point that she is real and vanishes just as quickly as she came. This video would be easy enough to fake because realistically speaking, all they would need is for an older woman to stand in the doorway, which coincidentally is a lot easier to do than actually using special effects to get her into the mirror. For these reasons, I think this video might not be real, but that doesn't necessarily mean the legend itself isn't true, or that something else wasn't watching them from the shadows all along. A while back, I analyzed a video about these weird things found on the ice in Utah. It gave two friends a scare. The video was really eerie because it had over 1 million views, and absolutely no one in the comments could tell what these strange objects were, or if they were even alive. They were small and uniform in shape, and everyone was saying that they looked like eggs from another planet. I wanted to provide an update and say we've all been had. This bizarre sighting was later discovered to be an art project made by a student named Claire Lewis. Claire shows us that these weird things found on the ice were nothing more than a mix of flour and salt dipped in water. She estimates making over 1,000 of these and carefully setting them in the ice in a spiral pattern before walking away. Time passed, and by the time they were discovered, her footprints had been covered up by more snow and the objects had sunken into the ground, giving this creepy burrowing effect. So if you see this anywhere else and they try to tell you it's mysterious and unexplained, remember where you got the real story. A man named Dubai 7 talks to himself while returning to the home he was chased out of to get some supplies. He is trying to grab this container when he is found and cornered. The door slams behind him and he runs away. As he is looking into the room he just escaped from, a different door slams shut. And no one is inside the room when he checks. On his way out, he sees what I assume is his old cat watching him. The poor animal is too afraid to come near. It jumps away moments before something unseen chases him out the door. Now outside, he looks over just in time to see the window shutters open and close by themselves way too deliberately to be caused by the wind. Originally posted to YouTube by Dark Pirate Stories in October of 2020. This haunting clip takes you on a walkthrough of the Church of Ghosts in the Czech Republic. The cathedral is full of faceless statues covered in stone cloaks, sitting in the pews. The image is unsettling, but it's meant to be. Lying east of Prague in a small town, this place has been around since the 14th century. When the roof collapsed in 1968, it went abandoned. Some said it was haunted. In a bid to restore it, local resident Peter Kugel and art student Jacob Hadrava teamed up with the latter, creating this eerie installation to draw people and interest to the location. It worked. So far, they've been able to repair the roof, and this location continues to get big attention online. The plane is heading to Jamaica when a much smaller object zooms by at an equal rate of speed, if not faster. It's hard to tell what this fast-moving sighting could possibly be, but I doubt it's another plane off in the distance, because air control makes sure that the planes always fly far away from each other, and usually at different altitudes. Whatever this is, if it had made contact with the plane while traveling at such a high rate of speed, I'm almost positive no one would have survived. Give me your best guess as to what you think this was. I will say that I have found other similar videos taken by YouTubers flying over Jamaica, so maybe there is something strange, mysterious, and unsolved about the airspace over that region in general. Donnie regularly sees what he thinks is a shadow person in his home. It's always in the basement, always coming from the corner of his eye, and always going way too fast to be a normal person. He can feel its anger downstairs, and he knows that it wants to do him harm. Donnie decides to put music on blast to see what kind of reaction he can get on camera. After 20 minutes, this shadow can take no more and races upstairs, causing these lights to move. Soon the same angry feeling returns, and Donnie knows that it's back. He starts recording down a dark hall, and these bottles move on their own.
You are not welcome here.
You and I both heard them fall, but no one else is around to knock them over. At least nobody that I could see, and just around the corner are the stairs leading down to the dark, cold basement.
An old hospital that was recently turned into an office building is experiencing some pretty strange activity lately, as you will soon see for yourself on this unsettling piece of security footage. Right there it starts. And that door just completely opens by itself. Just watch that one more time. So the door stays completely closed, and then just out of nowhere starts opening. And like the title says, this building is completely empty when this happens. So unless there's potentially a window open, like some sort of draft, I just can't think of any other reason why this would be happening. To provide some context on this video, the owner of the office building has said that he has seen somebody standing in the corner of this room, but he didn't want to say it was anything paranormal because he was a skeptic. However, just to make sure nothing serious was going on, he called the local authorities, and about a week later, after an alarm went off in the building, they came down to the office to come take a look, but they were unable to find anybody or anything. After checking the security camera footage, this is what they saw. So is this a haunted office building, or just something easily explainable, like a bad door that opens on its own or something? Let me know what you think.
You don't want this guy popping up in your next selfie. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit, Princess Lena 87 explains that there was no one else in the room when this video was recorded, except apparently this insane red face who popped up behind them. The clip shows two friends recording a selfie video, laughing and having fun. As the video pans right, nothing is behind them, but when it pans left again, a slimy red figure appears over their shoulders. Lena shares this screenshot in the comments. While some think it's Snape, others suggest something not from a Harry Potter book, and rather an entity that is quite nefarious. Redditor Analytical Amy writes, "It may just be some freakish weirdness, but was there ever a fire close by or in that house over the years?" Later saying that it looks like someone who was in the home during something like this. Whether you think this is the case or not, one piece of advice: don't turn around. I believe this video is 100% real, and that only makes it all the more scarier. This next video is very difficult to watch, but important to see. Blake Courtney has recently lost his brother Cody, and he feels he can no longer deal with the situation on his own. On top of that, he also recently broke up with his girlfriend after a serious relationship. His 8.5-minute video starts off pretty normal, and it sounds like he is just letting off some steam, until you realize that these are the last words of a man who decided to take his own life. Pay attention to what he says, because if you hear anyone else say something like this around you, then maybe you can get them help. He says that he doesn't want to feel anything anymore, which is a major red flag.
I just don't want to feel like this anymore.
If you know anyone who strongly and overwhelmingly feels that their life has no purpose or direction for long periods of time without changing their minds,
I'm not doing anything with my life.
It could be another sign. Watching him say goodbye to his family makes this video incredibly saddening, but at the same time, his family posted this online in hopes that it will save someone else's child from saying these terrible words.
Mom, I just want to tell you I love you. Thanks for always being my best friend.
If someone you care about is feeling this way, don't wait to talk to them about it and get them help. Ask them questions and let them know that they are not alone. It could make all the difference. And if you are feeling the same way as Blake did, then please know there is help available. I suggest befrienders.org because they are a non-profit who offer worldwide resources. Usually when you're in solitary confinement, you're, well, solitary. This TikTok video shows that's not always the case. In the video, an inmate stands behind bars. He's looking out through the bars and is supposed to be alone, but when he steps out of the way, a dark figure appears to be crawling on the floor behind him. It moves out of the way, blocking itself from view behind the inmate. The figure looks human-shaped, but not really human. Many in the comments believe it could be the inmate's demon that landed him in prison. Others think it's the negative energy attached to him. I guess the odds of an actual person sneaking into jail are unlikely. What do you think is going on here?
A YouTuber named Yams is hanging out with his friend Bryson when they suddenly suspect that they saw something bizarre off in the woods located near Yams' house. When they took out their phone, they were able to take a picture of the strange phenomena in question, but they want to see if they can find it one more time, and this time in person. So they split up and go two separate ways in order to see if they can track down whatever it is they saw. Even still, I don't think they knew that this was going to happen.
What was that?
Right there. So I just want you to focus your attention. Upper left corner of the screen. There's clearly somebody walking in the woods here.
Will!
Right there. And I think this is actually a case of just a complete stranger just sort of wandering around in the woods here. But this also seems to kind of be a bit of a residential area, and there doesn't look to be, maybe there's a pathway right here, but they look to be walking directly in the tree line here. Almost like they're trying to stay out of sight, but it certainly terrified this YouTuber. Out of the corner of his eye, one of the friends sees the creature in question lurking around the forest and begins to run away from the scene immediately and starts to call out his friend's name in order to find him and regroup. Luckily, just a few moments later, the two friends are back together, and the one filming informs the other that he believes he was able to capture the creature on film. However, some people in the comments have questioned this video's authenticity, stating that just a few seconds before the footage cuts off, you can see a long black object laying on the ground, which some people say is a costume. Then again, it could have just been something completely unrelated, but you never know. Either way, fake or not, this is one creepy video you won't want to watch late at night.
These friends are staying at a hotel when they see flashing lights coming from the bathroom mirror and hear rumbling noises on the other side. It sounds like a classic haunted hotel setting at first, but when they take the bathroom mirror and flip it around, they see two holes that look to me like someone was spying on them.
Scratches here and here that you can see directly through the mirror. Directly through.
But this situation gets way more intense than just a peephole. Much to their surprise and horror, there was also a rectangular hole cut into the wall leading directly into the next room over. Whoever cut this hole could literally climb through the wall anytime they wanted to, day or night. They could silently watch the group in the mirror to know when they were leaving, then climb through to mess with their stuff, or worse still, they would know when you were about to go to bed, and could enter while they were all asleep to do who knows what. I don't know how any of this ended, but I do know their lives could have been at risk if they didn't discover this in time. I think this situation is real, because I don't think they would destroy a hotel wall just to make a video. Hopefully they called the police and caught whoever invaded their privacy.
Millions of people all around the world wake up in the middle of the night for a midnight snack, and that's exactly what happened in this YouTube video published by Paranormal Nightmares. The uploader says her husband went downstairs in the middle of the night to pour himself a bowl of cereal. So far so good, but this seemingly ordinary trip to the kitchen at night quickly turns horrifying. Okay, so we start here. He just grabs, cereal out of the cupboard and a bowl. And right there, I'm sure you saw it. The cereal box just moves completely on its own. And what I like about this video in terms of authenticity is that the cereal box is coming straight from the cupboard. There's no possibility that it could be a string causing this. And right there it goes. And he's clearly perplexed by this, a little almost nervous. And right there the cereal box goes again. Some commenters on this video have questioned why there's seemingly a security camera set up inside the kitchen of all places, but the uploader has not responded to this. Perhaps they have them set up in various places in case of things like this happening. Of course, this could also have been done with the use of a very small string. But as far as I can see, it doesn't look like anything is attached to the cereal box. Plus, the way the husband reacts to this box moving seems very genuine. His facial expressions seem quite confused and a little creeped out, especially towards the end of the clip. Who wouldn't be freaked out if they saw their cereal box moving by itself?
Well, this ghost hunter explored a cathedral. He was met with something unexpected. The devil. Ghost hunter Red Fox set up a Ouija board inside this haunted cathedral and soon felt like he was being watched.
무언가가 여기 있을까요?
And not only watched, but something is clearly present. Watch the playback, nothing is in the hallway from where the sound was coming from. And then that nothing is coming straight at him. The playback again shows nothing there. Until the big reveal. The playback reveals all areas of the cathedral on camera while this occurred. Later, the ghost hunter discovers his Ouija board has been misplaced. Looks like the devil has left the chat.
지금 거의 해가 뜨고 있습니다.
This CCTV video captures a large figure lurking beneath a bush on an empty street. It's hard to tell what it is at first, until the camera zooms in for a better look. Some kind of humanoid is low to the ground, as if waiting to grab someone. Anyone who walks by. It looks like it could be a person, until it dips its head from the shadows at 1 minute and 58 seconds, to reveal an upsettingly long face with large, gnashing jaws. The way it repeatedly moves side to side looks like it's probably just a looping animated sequence. But what's your take? This highway footage comes from Britain and is about 10 years old. It looks like just another normal night until an unknown creature comes scampering across 4 lanes of traffic in less than 5 seconds. It almost looks like a deer or dog at first, but a closer look shows you that its legs bend inwards at an odd angle. Its front and back legs nearly touch as it runs, almost like a cheetah. But such an animal, of course, is impossible to see in a place like Britain. The YouTube community seems to be split on this one. Some people insist that it's CGI, but others say that the footage is authentic. Even when zoomed and slowed down, the monster appears to jump over the median at the right time and narrowly avoids getting hit by the car. No other cameras have managed to pick it up since, or if they did, then the footage was never released to the public. A man has been plagued by a demonic invasion that refuses to give him peace. On February 9th of 2017, he records not one, but 2 shadow figures ominously standing nearby. All you can do is hear his nasal breathing as he watches, stunned and trying not to scream, all while this heavy drape breathes in and out all by itself. Watch how it moves. That's not the wind. Besides, it was staying still for the past 4 minutes and 40 seconds prior. And you don't even want to see what's moving on his other window. I'll show you its true form in just a little bit, but for now let's focus on a couple different incidences first. On July 22nd of that same year, he is turning over a crystal again and again, possibly in hopes that some of its protective energy will rub off on him. Slowly but surely, this bright spot begins to manifest itself before his very eyes, starting at 1 minute and 33 seconds. Hope turns to horror as the omen spins around to reveal a grinning reptile-like face that he is sure is the Lord of the Underworld himself, its stony face shrouded in half darkness. This ties into a separate incident 12 days earlier on July 10th. That's when he claims to have recorded what he calls a ghoul lurking in the bush outside of his window. When you pause at 3 seconds, it does look like the top half of a skeletal face that soon disappears into the bushes, black eyes and all. That definitely wasn't a normal animal, so what was it? It looks remarkably similar to the face seen in the crystal nearly 2 weeks later. Sometimes it would show up in the most unlikely of places, like the folds of a piece of fabric as shown here on February 15th, 2017. Do you see the creepy goblin face with a long nose, big ears and open mouth? I can even see an eye, and that's the more friendly of the two faces. This second one looks like two worried eyes and a mouth locked in a permanent scream. There's not as much detail and some of the features are disproportionate and misshapen, but it's still there nonetheless. So now that you've seen the demon's face a few times, I suppose you are ready to see the rest of it and the rest of the original video. This is what he saw crawling into his home that fateful early February day. This upside down creature is in fact one of the many beings who he claims to see on the regular. It's hard to make out exactly what this is, but it's harder still to disprove it, and it gives me a bad feeling all around. I tend to believe this video, and all of these sightings for that matter. He claims the quality of the video has somehow sharply deteriorated over time since uploading, and that the being at one point looked more detailed and even had horns. I don't see how this is possible for a digital copy to become less clear, but the colors do look muted here and apparently were brighter. So I want to know if you think that this man is legitimately seeing demons around his house, or if this is all happening in his mind. As much as I want to believe this is a delusion like some people think it is, I don't necessarily agree. The problem is I do see a lot of what he claims on video, so there's a good chance it could be true.
I love waking up now on Saturdays and being able to enjoy my family. We never have to.
This video of the Watts family goes from heartwarming to horrifying. When you hear the terrible backstory, Shannon Watts talks about how happy she is while her husband Chris sits on the other side of the room, his back turned. Chris doesn't say hello or even move during this part. His mannerisms are very stiff and distant. He doesn't even seem to be looking at his kids.
Bella, say hi. Bella, say hi.
Sometime after this video was taken, Shannon and Chris got into a giant argument and he took her life. He gathered both of his daughters and took them along with his wife's body to his place of work while he buried his wife while they watched. Going back to the happy home video and listening to his children cry for their dad is sickening. You want to somehow save them, but there's nothing that you or anyone else can do.
And we're super excited. Bella, come here for a second, baby.
Sadly, after they were done witnessing the burial of their mother, Chris took their lives next. For this, he was sentenced to life behind bars without parole. Would you stop and investigate if you captured this on dash cam? Published to YouTube by Crooked Pixel in September of 2017. This dashcam footage will have you paying closer attention to the road at night. Captured in July of 2012 at 1 in the morning, the video shows a driver cruising down a highway. All is normal until this happens. A white ghostly sheet floats over the road. You can hear the driver take a sharp intake of breath. The sheet is billowing in the wind as it floats upwards in the darkness, but the driver speeds on past it without stopping. Many in the comments think it's CGI. Well, James Brady says that was a piece of paper or a plastic bag blowing in the wind. What do you think? As a driver, would you stop or accelerate? Whether you believe in ghosts or not, fear can take your breath away. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, Tyler12798 explains that he took this video while he was 12 at his mom's office. Tyler writes, "There were rumors that a ghost named Kevin roamed the place. One day I recorded this. We heard deep moaning coming from a window. Let's see what happened next."
You! Keep open the door! Keep open the door! Close it! Open! Now open it! Open! Open!
A wooden door kept slamming and swinging of its own accord. According to Tyler, all the windows were closed when this occurred, so it was unlikely to be an issue of airflow. Some in the comments note that they have never captured the other side of the door on film, so there might have been someone behind opening and shutting it. Tyler claims there was no one. In the comments, Tyler also writes that when he returned from the bathroom, a sticky note on the door read, "Kevin was here." While many insist that outside airflow caused this, we'd like to think it was the Home Alone ghost playing practical jokes. So do you think this has a rational or paranormal explanation? Now you see him, now you don't. Posted by Calligram to the Chills Narrator subreddit. This clip appeared on YouTube's Scary World of Videos in October of 2020. Men in a forested area are just hanging out when a stranger is seen walking in the background. He passes behind a tree but doesn't come out the other side. The cameraman walks towards the tree and circles it entirely, but the man seems to have disappeared into thin air. The camera even pans up to see if he climbed the tree, but there's just no way. Where did he go? One Redditor, Shabba Bull, has the answer in the comments. He went back to the year he came from. Do you think this is the case? Or is this clever editing? I wish I knew for sure, so all I can say for now is I think this footage is definitively mysterious. Abdullah Al-Anbari is followed by what he describes as a ghoul when he explores an old neighborhood that was abandoned long ago. His stalker appears to be a silhouette, even under a high-powered light that brightens everything around it.
Bismillah.
It could be someone wearing long flowing robes, or it could be a shadow person. Maybe it's just me, but the ghoul looks much bigger here at 5 minutes and 54 seconds when he sees it again. When it pokes around the corner at 8 minutes and 3 seconds, it seems much larger than the average sized person. Even from down this long hill, you can see this figure is indeed tall and strong looking too, as it lumbers ahead. It looks like the creature is going to follow him all the way home, if he lets it, so Abdullah recites a phrase, at which point the ghoul recoils from the sacred words, or perhaps more realistically, ducks under the window and is not seen again.
له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه.
Was this all planned, or did a phantom really spontaneously follow him? A YouTuber named D-Dog Vlogs has been uploading since mid-2016 and specializes in exploring haunted places that are about as scary as they come, with a preference for historic locations whenever possible. He has been known to pair up with the likes of Mo Sargi and others in an effort to push his paranormal investigations to greater lengths and solidify his place in the YouTube ghost hunting community. On January 20th of 2020, he heads to a single-story home that is rumored to hold secrets so terrible that no one in the community wanted to share any details aside from a basic address. Curious, he heads to the site with fellow ghost hunters, Tay and Carlo, to see for themselves what this house holds. The first thing they notice is a glowing yellow light that flickers oddly over a door that's bolted shut. It's one of the only working lights left in the house, and it's shining like a beacon to get their attention.
But look at that room. That's creepy.
But more on that in a moment. For now, watch how the camera goes out of focus like something or someone invisible is standing right in front of them. It happens again here at exactly 3 minutes, and ironically goes on until he's finished asking people to comment if they see anything.
Now, I don't know if these places are haunted or not, so comment down below if you guys see or hear anything. I'm not saying they're haunted, I'm just not sure.
After some more exploring, they return to this mysterious locked door and see marks where it had been repeatedly drilled shut with a padlock. Something incredibly strong must have been in here at one point, and the family must have been intent on keeping it contained. Yet when they open the door, they are surprised to find a colorful race car border above. This is a kid's room of all places. They suspect that a child was locked in here for long periods of time, and I think the evidence proves that much is true. Perhaps they were even kept here well into adulthood, might I add. Furthermore, they seem to think this section of the door was either struck or clawed out over time, possibly after an extended period of isolation, which would require immense strength. I think it could simply be termite damage, but you tell me. So I want to know why you think the child was locked in here. It could have been evil parents or behavioral problems. The extent to which they had to go in order to keep the child contained seems to indicate an extreme psychological state that would require them to be on alert at all times. Their child probably needed to be kept away from sharp objects and locked in at night so that they don't do something drastic to themselves or to their parents while they slept. On the contrary, maybe that's not the case at all, and the child had evil, disturbed parents who did this for no reason. D-Dog explores a different abandoned house 2 months later on March 28th, and this investigation gets so crazy that I need your help to figure out if it's real. Is this red paint, or is it what I think it is? I really hope not.
That's so much.
At 2 minutes and 10 seconds, it kind of looks like somebody got jabbed in the corner, stumbled a few steps forward to the center of the room, and then went to the doorway. Then they doubled back, still leaking, and probably crumpled in this corner where the trail ends, or maybe that's where they were put by someone else. Tiny red splotches leading upstairs gives me the impression that more than one person was here. This red substance has dried against the wall and hardly looks reassuring. And sadly, in the corner of this upstairs room is more evidence. But creepiest of all, even more so than what's on the wall or on the floor, is what's in this small unassuming corner, or rather what happens when they go near. This is the only part of the video that becomes blurry, and for no reason at all. It's as if something is trying to get their attention, and perhaps figuring out for the first time that it has crossed onto the other side and can no longer communicate with the living. Now you're probably wondering where the homeowners were, and so was I. But with a basement flooded with solid ice, I think we both know the answer. A YouTuber named Tate Steinseek is investigating an old building in Oklahoma City that was once a psychiatric institute. He claims that around 4 a.m. he experiences paranormal activity and wants to document it. This time, a black container slides across the ground on its own. Watch this part and tell me if there's any way to fake this.
Alright, did you guys just see that?
I would say that it was a rope or something tied around the container, but it happens again much closer, and I don't know how this could be faked.
Did you guys see that? Okay.
He even shows it up close, and you can see nothing is attached to it at all, and nothing special is inside, so your guess is as good as mine. Two friends return to a spot in the woods where they think someone could be living. Yesterday, they were playing tag in this small clearing, and it looks like somebody was close to them the entire time. A trail of random trash leads them to a morbid discovery that they now truly regret seeing.
Dude, the hand is messed up, dude.
Nailed to the tree is an old doll with black and purple clothes and white hair over its face, which you never get to see. Still, the doll gives off such a strange feeling that they refuse to touch it with their bare hands, probing it with a stick instead. One of them hangs back, but the other needs to see what's under the long white hair. He pushes the filthy doll hair aside. The doll's face fills him with regret, and he is too stunned to worry about the camera, but his reaction really says it all.
Oh my God.
Later, he says that the doll's face was completely burnt, aside from driving a nail through its middle. The doll's fingers look to have either been chopped or chewed off one by one as well. Whether this was a group of kids or a traveling wanderer, whoever rips apart dolls for fun is definitely not the type of person you want roaming around a minute from your backyard. And on top of that, I'm not even sure if this doll is safe to show, because it could very well have been cursed. A Russian police officer is roaming the snowy countryside when he comes in close contact with a creature that has since never been identified. The officer is traveling at a low rate of speed when suddenly something huge dashes across his headlights. The strange figure is only visible for a moment, then it's gone. Many YouTubers suspect this to be a Russian Yeti. Others are sure that it's a man in a suit or even someone who is completely naked, though this theory is hard to believe because a person in Russia would probably freeze to death if they stood outside naked for very long. Look closely and you'll see that whatever it is, it's moving quite fast. It only takes the thing about 5 or 6 steps to fully get away, and I should mention that the snowbanks on both sides of the tracks appear to be very deep. An average-sized person would be struggling way more to get over them. Zoom in and you'll see what looks to be white fur hanging off of its body. Also, it looks to be hunched over and its arms almost touch the ground. If this is a costume, it's very convincing. Thank you so much for getting me to 30,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 40,000 subscribers next. Thank you.